Welcome, everybody, to this week's ClawCast. Thank you for joining us. Today we are live with Peter, our founder, for a question and answer, as well Patrick, one of our technical staff. Welcome, guys.
Hello. Peter, I think you might have been muted if you try talking.
I think it works now.
There we go.
We can hear you.
Great.
Perfect.
Yeah, I'm here in Seattle after ClawCon.
Hakan, you want to tell me a little bit about what went down there?
Yeah, it was great vibes. It was sponsored by AWS and AuthZ. They both had some speakers. Great talks. Peter Zhang from AWS was presenting on some cool micropayment stuff. So this like X402, which I don't know if X402 is relatively new protocol, but like micropayments and then kind of future of like actual like agent to agent payments and some of the challenges around things like refuting a transaction if your agent's the one that purchased it. And then Sam, whose name I forget from AuthZ, had a really cool presentation on this like SpiceDB permissions database that he built this cool like POC plugin for a Claude hookup to. So it's actually like it was pretty sweet. It's like it's this full sidecar that like basically your Claw cannot like have any write access to this. Like the permission model lives outside of like your sandbox, your boundaries or anything. So it was like a kind of like POC example, but the SpiceDB thing was really cool. That was like the secret sauce is some sort of like Google inspired permissions relational database thing. And yeah, great vibes. I did like state of the class, just kind of updates on what we've been shipping the past month, and then a bit about the foundation and kind of missions around there.
Yeah. How about you, Peter? How's things been with you? I don't think you were at the ClawCon, correct?
Next one. No, I was in San Francisco. I am in San Francisco.
Sorry, I missed your video, Peter. That would have been awesome to stream. So I had my phone muted because I was trying to calm my nerves before speaking.
I tried to send it over earlier, but it was like too much on my plane that day. So, well, next one.
Yeah.
We've got a good question there. With the current evolution of tools like Claude Code, Codex, Hermes, what is the current roadmap for OpenClaw, and what's going to be the next thing you're going to focus on in terms of innovation for the Claw? I think that one is... I mean, I couldn't have written that question better myself.
I mean, the next one is that I reshaped OpenClaw to be my harness to just build everything. So we're now building OpenClaw with OpenClaw. And the biggest innovation for that and where the industry is going is that you cannot just have one computer to run sessions on. So we added cloud support. So you can just keep talking to your agent, no matter if it's WhatsApp or iMessage or wherever, and it can decide to build things locally, or it can spin up cloud sessions. And I'm reusing one of the projects in our ecosystem, like Crapbox. So I think we already support like 40 to 50 providers that can do that. So you can hook it into AWS or Azure or many of the more specialized smaller companies to run your cloud sessions. And of course, everything still works. So those cloud sessions just feel like regular sessions. Like your sessions can talk to each other. The agent can supervise those sessions. I think that's pretty much the future.
Yeah.
It did take a while. We had to move everything to SQLite. We needed to make everything faster. So still probably a few days to a week away from releasing this. If you want to try it right now, it's on May.
I've got a question about that, but I've got one here. Somebody said, how difficult is it to balance OpenAI work and working on foundation projects? Any advice for folks juggling multiple projects at a time and wanting to maintain quality?
Yeah, that's a tough one. Luckily,
sounds like a loaded question to me.
I mean, I'm not doing this alone. There's now a whole team working on OpenClaw, so that makes it easier. And also, there's quite a lot of overlap that also makes it easier. But yeah, the hardest thing is people. There's like, the more people you add, the more time it just takes to get everyone to work on one thing.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that completely makes sense. what is I have a question for you. So you said the release we're working on right now, maybe a few days. Can you tell us more? And we've talked a bit about this on some of the past few podcasts, but can you tell us a bit more about this? Like, why did we change from going, once a day to holding on to this for a month? What's our reason?
I mean, the main reason is that the underlying change from what the old state was, that everything was JSON-L file. That's what Claude still does. That's what Codex still does to a degree. And then others already moved on to a proper database. And we're moving into this world where one session used to be a smaller amount of work, and then the coding agents got like better and better. And now your session can run for 10, 20, 30 hours if you use /goal, even longer. So this old architecture started to no longer make sense. So we pulled the plug a few weeks ago. I mean, this was something we've been working on since May, but you only find the bugs when you just iterate on it and like do more work with it. So yeah, we've been ironing out the bugs. We've been cleaning up a lot. It's in a good state now. It's also really hard to not like just keep making it better. So at some point I need to say stop and we just release. Yeah, but overall I'm very excited because I'm finally in a state where I want to use it not just as my agent to ask questions, but also to like build everything.
Yeah.
It feels like between the SQLite migration and like a plugin driven architecture, like I don't foresee any other like enormous like if this was a company, this would be like a 6-month like multi-team initiative. Like Josh Lehman, one of the maintainers on the team, basically like as a side project did this SQLite migration. So it's it's kind of like this cool old problem, but in a million times faster with agents, right? Where like a big part of the SQLite migration is every single subsystem poked at these JSON-L files in their own way without any kind of standard interface. So Josh went and like subsystem by subsystem migrated to this shared interface, and now we just have one clean seam that we can then cut over. So between this and like plugins, it's like I'm at least like optimistic that we're pretty set for this multiplayer like cloud future. But
yeah,
knock on wood.
I love that somebody asked, can you not just one-shot it? I did exactly that in May, and I had like this thing that ran for more than a week and actually one-shotted it. And we took a lot of the learnings and then like redid it with like, oh yeah, this came out and this was good and this was bad. And then we did it in a better way. But yeah, you could one-shot it, but you might not. I feel this is something where some human taste goes a long way, especially in terms of data structures that you think will evolve.
It was like a series of one shots following that, right? Like I think it was like some human like agents still suck at like tasteful architecture. Like it was Josh coming in with taste on like an interface boundary and then just /goal looping every subsystem to migrate to this. So it's like a mini one shot.
Somebody brought up. Oh, go ahead.
No, so I saw the OpenClaw question. Well, I think that's exactly what we did with plugins. You can like basically go into the folder and delete about 70% of the code and it'll still work.
What was the question?
Are you looking to work on an OpenClaw for smaller memory CPU servers? I mean, you could, but I also don't really think that's the most important part of the future. Like the architecture is more important. That your gateway is the thing that orchestrates everything, and it can just live on some cheap Hetzner or whatever VPN you work, and then you have nodes which can be your computer, which can be your phone, your watch. I played a lot with those ESP devices that are like $20, and then you can like talk to your OpenClaw from there. Or now you can also spin up inferral boxes to like run the inference there. I'm not sure if like optimizing the gateway to run like on a super tiny VM is the most goal. I would see the goal more like we made it actually work for those, even the ESP ones that are super constrained, but the brain usually want up there.
Yeah. Somebody said, oh, go ahead.
A question from Kushal on, I'll just read verbatim. With Grokbot coming out, are you seeing signs of OpenClaw-like systems becoming bigger parts of frontier AI companies? And if so, I'm curious how OpenClaw stays differentiated.
Well, I think the main differentiator is that you can make it yours. OpenClaw is in some ways jellyware, like
Jellyware
whatever.
is...
Oh, I love this term because it's like software, but it's more moldable. Like most software is like a binary, you download it. Grokbot is not open source. You have to get a $200 cursor subscription, and then you will also need to use their model. And if you don't like anything, maybe to support the plugin, but you're still like very bound, right? I just love that I've been able to customize every aspect as I want. It's definitely like, if you want no work at all, those are probably the products you want. If you want to tinker with it and if you want to like get the most out of it, open source is the way to go. So yeah, I think it's actually amazing product validation that we did something right, and now everybody's building commercial versions around it.
Yeah. I see a question here. Will there be anything for students so that students will be able to use OpenClaw, and there's a plan to do things for students that will, so they will be able to understand how the roadmap and full thing, and also later help you guys out? I don't understand that question. Sorry, I didn't read it before reading it. Students. Let's talk about students.
I know we have a lot of students that use OpenClaw and that love to tinker with it. I think it's an amazing way to like learn and play.
We're gonna connect with schools to get, this kind of thing. Whatchamacallit, sponsored by labs and such. Are we going to connect with various schools and maybe get some of this type of thing sponsored by labs so that, tinkering can happen without all the expense?
I think we're doing something with the University of Michigan already, and there's hopefully more to come as we get more people. The main thing is just that stuff takes time, especially if you organize events. But yeah, I hope we can do more events.
What does the migration path look like for people who have a heavy setup on the current version? This person said they found it a bit difficult to get OpenClaw into a useful state with Docker, and they had made a lot of custom skills to help them configure their OpenClaw. Is a migration path for a new version mostly ironed out? Because there are so many changes here. Is this good? Like, while I was migrating the other day in a test stage, I had Skill Workshop delete some of my skills because it was, checking for useless ones, and it missed it. There was a fix that came out 4 hours later to fix the specific cause of that, but I can see how there might be other migration things like this.
I mean, there's always a few things, right? Your workspace should be in Git, so you never lose any data. Number two, you probably use a coding agent to update. So there should not be much work for you at all to do the actual migration. I would love to get feedback for like super complex setups, because that's just the hardest thing. Where we went a bit overboard is we have so many configuration options. I think it's over 9,000, and I actually went and deleted a bunch to like simplify it, because it's impossible to test all combinations. That's like 9,000 n square. I mean, it's not quite that, but it's too much. But in general, like coding agents are so good in updating, I would not think it's gonna be a huge pain. We took our time and we found quite a lot of edge cases already. I can't underline that there might not be more. That's just like the problem with something that is so configurable.
Yeah. How about long-term memory? Somebody said, I'm curious about long-term memory, or if it's needed at this point, if agents are so task specific.
Well, I mean, a lot of the skills that you wrote a few months ago are probably not needed anymore because agents are just like getting better and better. Memory in terms of who's the user, what does the user prefer, that'll always be useful. And we made quite a bit of improvements. I also took the liberty to like delete one of our two memory systems because I assume most people stay on the regular one. We made the regular one better. So the QMD one that was like 90% the same of the memory one, but like complete duplication and like 50,000 lines of code deleted. We can focus on one and make that better. And we probably do a few more opinionated choices to make the defaults better. And if someone really wants QMD, you can make it your own plugin. Like we're not taking the flexibility away, but we're getting a little bit more opinionated because we, in the past, I think we opted too much for you can do anything, but here's those 9,000 configuration options.
Yeah.
I think the thing that's really cool about OpenClaw and like the memory story is that it's fully pluggable. Like one of the maintainers on the team now is the author of like the lossless claw plugin that uses like Voltron, some research papers memory system. So it's like memory is such a fuzzy kind of subject right now. Like everyone's just kind of vibes. Like it's very dynamic. So I think what's cool is that we have a great out of the box experience. But if you want to like implement some new research paper that came out on how memory works based on some new concept, then you can build a plugin and hook it into it. So I think it's cool that we don't
a lot of the research on. I think we didn't ship that either. There's a bunch of memory improvements, and the defaults have changed. Streaming is now enabled on, and it's actually useful now. But yeah, that's. If you look at the industry, nobody has the perfect answer for that yet. So that's still something that's exciting.
Somebody asked here, what do you think about the future of agentic payments?
Honestly, I'm probably not the best person to ask. Like, my agent has a virtual credit card and it works. I'm sure there's better ways.
Yeah.
Check out the ClawCon recording goes online. Peter Zhang from AWS had a good talk on this. So.
Yeah. Does OpenClaw have a plan in place for post AGI processes? I don't think so.
No, but there's well, I feel this is part of where I have to put my OpenAI hat on, and there's a lot of people thinking about those things. There's like a mini conference. But yeah, that I feel for OpenClaw, my OpenClaw approach is always, even if the models wouldn't get better, there's so much more we can do because this capability overhang is so large. Even a lot of the assumptions that we made in early this year when we built it, now we have to like change it, like the SQLite translation, because your session can now basically get into a state where it just never stops if you want to.
Yeah.
Peter, one thing I feel like we've been talking a lot about internally is like the multiplayer story for OpenClaw. Can you maybe share a bit about that?
That's something that's really exciting. I think the future of work, the future of building software, I mean, that's part of what's so interesting on building OpenClaw. And now we're doing a lot of the development of OpenClaw in OpenClaw. So we set up a team server. And one of the features that we threaded in, see, I talk like a clank already, we threaded in, is identity.
It's a team server. Back up a sec. What do you mean team server? I mean, I know what it is. But...
It's just an OpenClaw instance for the maintainers that runs on a, I think, 192 core machine, because I wanted it beefy.
And they can just access it through the web UI and just create threads, like.
No, you can. I mean, the agent might start something from Discord, and then it shows up in the sidebar, and then you can continue working on it. And then everybody sees everyone's sessions. You see who created it, but ultimately, by default, everyone can like look at the session or like tweak the session, which is really nice because it removes a lot of the barriers of who's working on what, because now I just see who's working on what.
I think that I was trying to remember this over the week. I think the term that you used last week, Peter, was meat relay, as like that person who's just like clanker to clanker. Like, is that the right term?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Don't be a meat relay. You just like copy something from Claude
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then say, oh, but Claude said.
Yeah, like a
Yeah.
really concrete example of where I think this is going to like change the style of work in some types of problems is like we have this RFCs repo, and like I've done a bunch of work with this guy from Microsoft, and like it's just like pure like the whole thing is just a meat relay. It's like he puts up this RFC, it's great. I don't have the context that his agent had on it. He's giving me these updates. Like it works really well. Like we're actually producing like useful software. But like this process of like collaborating with someone like kind of outside of your organization in like a structured manner, like every single question we have to each other is just let me paste it into my meet relay because he's had this session going for like a month on this feature that we're doing. He's pulled in all this context from research that he's done, etc. And like most of that's encoded in like the RFC that we have, but like a GitHub pull request is like a terrible way to like collaborate with someone that's missing a ton of context. So basically like any like shared problem. It feels like this is just like a very like obvious, natural way to
Yeah.
work to avoid
And
this.
the beauty is once your sessions are on the web, it's very natural to send someone the URL. I mean, this is only meant for team internal. It's not I can send a session to anyone. But maybe we do this someday, but for now we're just focusing on making things easier for the team.
Do you know much about like agent to agent, Peter? Like one thing I've kind of thought about this like multiplayer world is like where does this go as far as like claws talking to claws and like advertising like A2A has like these agent cards I think that is kind of similar to some specs that we're working on internally. I know Vince is working on this. I don't know too much about it, but like right now it's like session to session, but when does it become like claw to claw and some of these kind of laddering ups?
A really
I
good
mean,
question. Oh, yeah. Go ahead. Finish your thought.
I mean, we already have communication between sessions, so
Yeah.
that also means between agents. Then I'm working on something that's called Reef, that is actual agent to agent, where like LLMs sit on both ends to verify something. That's still a bit experimental. I'll probably still take a little bit before I want to talk more about it. I mean, it's open source. You can check it out.
I've got a question here. Chan said, I've been following you before you became famous through OpenClaw. You had a German podcast on Spotify about agentic engineering in which you described how coding with AI gave you back your mojo. My question, since this has become the new normal, do you feel your mojo fading again?
Honestly, my mojo was fading earlier this year when everybody made the story around OpenClaw is so insecure, and then like I worked around the clock to make it secure, and then ultimately made it a worse product and actually didn't like what I do. But now that I'm gonna be more opinionated again, that I better understand how the industry works, that I actually around with people, I feel like I'm having a blast.
Yeah. So, what is it that excites you most right now about this space? Because like when OpenClaw was new, I mean, it was the excitement was like, oh, I'm going to make this product that can do this. Now it's sort of like you have every possible which way to go. It's hard to focus. So what's that thing that drives you about this product?
Yeah. The space is evolving so fast. I've been going through so many iterations of like how I work, and the latest one that everything's a cloud session. I feel now I can scale to there's no limits anymore. It's a psychological difference where okay, you could have multiple sessions before and you could do work trees, but at some point your computer would get really slow, your fans would start like a jet engine. Then I used like screen sharing. I had like multiple computers and I was the orchestrator. I was like, oh, which machine is the least busy that I can give this task to? And now all of it is again in one place, and I have an agent that knows what all of these sessions are doing. And it's so much nicer. But then there's also like so many new affordances. Once you have that, oh, I want sharing. Oh, I want screen sharing that. I want my agent should be in Discord and then like start. Sometimes I want it to like, if it's a little thing, just do it. If it's a bigger thing, it should be in the sidebar. Oh, I want to make it so that this sidebar is marked as others can view it, but only I can edit it. You know, there's like so many little things that like as you build it and as you work, you figure out, oh, this would be nice. This would be even more helpful. Yeah, and then I can just build it because it's open source. That's the cool part.
Yeah.
I think a lot of that then is like, so I saw someone ask about like Buzz, for example. Like I still haven't used Buzz a ton personally, but like it feels like, I guess what I'm getting at is like how much of this is like sort of UX in a way, like agent UX, and like is there like a need for like a net new like kind of way for interacting with agents?
Well, I think that the Buzz thing, the main issue is, do we want a new platform where you work? If you can like dictate it and make a new company, probably makes sense. Like I cannot change where I work at OpenAI, it's Slack. I don't want to change where we work on OpenClaw, it's Discord. So I don't know where Buzz would fit into my world. Do I want to have another social platform that is not integrated in where I work? Well, I mean, one thing we played around is on our team server, we have, plugins can also be sidebar. So one of the plugin is like ClickClack, because we also wrote our own chat system. Mostly the idea was to like have better end-to-end testing, so we can test all the message channel, all the interaction with something that we can fully control. And then having a way where the main session is the one where you talk with your agent, and the side session is this is for humans. I think that's kind of cool. But it feels more a feature that you just want to have seamlessly integrated into where you work instead of yet another pane. Buzz is really beautifully done. Like they have some good designers.
It's really cool stuff in Buzz. Yeah, like it's kind of like the inverse, but it's like you have like you can see like the agent traces in the app and stuff. But yeah, in a way, it's like this maybe like capability overhangs like the wrong term, but it's like I could totally see a world where Buzz would be great, but it's like humans are slow. Like when's OpenAI gonna move off of Slack? Like probably post AGI. So
Yeah. Somebody said, we are quickly moving towards a future where everyone has a personal agent, just like everyone nowadays has a smartphone. Agents are becoming an extension of ourselves and a natural upgrade to our abilities. Will people get hired based on the teamwork they can provide with their own agent, in your opinion? And how likely is it that people will be getting hired as a team consisting of them and their agents? And how much is Peter supported by his personal OpenAI or personal OpenClaw with his work at OpenAI?
Well, I have one claw for my personal life, and I have a claw for my work life, and they know a tiny bit of each other, but it's more like if they want to talk, they have to play this game of telephone because obviously I try to like separate my lives a little bit.
I've been trying that lately too.
No, you're not allowed to. You only have one life. I hired you fully.
I know, but I needed a new pillowcase, and I didn't want to tell my yeah. So anyway, it did order a pillowcase, my personal agent, if anybody's wondering.
what really?
But like somebody also said, like they're becoming mainstream. I think we're still quite far away from it actually reaching the mainstream. We're still in the bubble. There's still more to do before it reaches the mainstream. Let's say it hasn't reached the iPhone moment yet.
Yeah. You were going to say something, Patrick.
Yeah, this is maybe a little in the weeds, so I'll keep it quick. But like one of the interesting conversations we were having at ClawCon was around this kind of concept of like being able to read the room, right? And like how much like this concept of reading the room, right? But like more broadly, I think the conversation is like where's like the next generation of models going to go in order to like solve some of these problems that like agents kind of suck at this concept of reading the room, right? Where like a lot of the way like harnesses solve this is by like isolating memory between different channels and configurations and permissions and stuff. But it'd be great if an agent that's in, the engineering channel doesn't go into the marketing channel. And even though it has access to memories from the engineering channel, it doesn't, share things that are implicitly kind of private to that scope.
Yeah. I heard a bunch about that too.
I like this
There's
question.
still work to do, but also doesn't look like the updates on the model side stops anytime soon.
Somebody said, why is it so hard to set up OpenClaw? I mean,
No, it's
I
no
know
longer
the answer,
hard.
but
I mean, the honest answer is that for quite a while, I was so bombarded with everyone trying to shit on me with security. I didn't want to make it simpler to use OpenClaw. I wanted to have people spend some time thinking about it and understanding what it means if you install it on your computer. And then other people just like didn't give a fuck and made it really simple. But I think now if you use like any of the latest models, we mostly solved the prompt injection issues. We have auto review. It's quite easy now to set up sandboxing if you want. I would say the default should not just be that it runs in the cloud on its own little computer. And now we also made setup way simpler. So the Mac app hasn't shipped yet, the updated one, but with the next update, you can just install it and it does everything for you and it'll just work. And if you have like Codex or Claude or an API key anywhere installed, it will ask you, can I check your system? Or do you want it fully sandboxed? If you like to check your system, it'll find this automatically and just configure itself. And then it's basically a few clicks and waiting. So I don't think it's hard anymore.
One of the really cool things that we shipped as well is like, it takes a while to get to like that magic moment because a lot of it requires like configurations to other tools. But now we just scan your desktop for your application. So if you have Slack or if you have Granola or if you have Notion, like we just automatically detect that and then can easily like one click set up skills and plugins for the tools that you already use.
yeah.
And now we actually have like, I think now, thanks to Patrick, ClawCast is in a really good place. We did all the work that it can be trusted that when you download the skill there, it'll
The
work.
videos are great with that. A lot of partnerships.
We integrated it into the web UI. Actually, people, if you haven't checked out the web UI lately, who was it the other day who asked me like, what's installed on the team server? It doesn't look like OpenClaw. Because now it's actually nice and pretty. Like, what else are you running on there? I'm like, no, it's just main.
I was installing the Mac app. I was testing it yesterday, and you know how you said it. It asks what you want to do, and I clicked it, and I looked away and did its thing. And when I looked back, it didn't even ask me. I think it was a blip in the main branch, and it just jumped in, and it was working. It didn't even ask me, "Do you want to configure Codex?" It just saw that I had Codex installed and started talking.
I think that's one step where you say, "Hey, I found this. Are you cool?" And you click OK. And otherwise, you can configure whatever you want. Yeah.
But it was pretty damn smooth. So I'm really looking forward to it. I've been playing with it over and over because I'm excited to get a live demo.
Oh man, I love this question
on release day. So
Cedric is asking, how do you keep cool with all the attention? I have one claw that filters out the worst takes. And then I don't know, I think I just got better with like accepting no matter what I write, there's gonna be people that shit on me, there's gonna be people that be great. This is like if your audience grows, you'll just get more opinions. There's always this category of like, oh, who still uses OpenClaw? Honestly, I use it. I'm having time of my life building it and improving it. Use it or not, I build it for me now.
yeah, it's what I find interesting is that when I first started here, I've only been here for a few months. People had various complaints. Oh, this is broken. That is broken. Now, I'll be honest. The biggest thing I hear is just when people have a difficult time installing it or upgrading it, which those are legitimate issues we're working on. But that means that the people that are using it, and there's a lot of we haven't updated and had a significant update in just over a month, and we're holding strong on our NPM downloads. And there's no way this is the case if we don't have a lot of new people coming on board. And we're not hearing people saying, oh, it's broken here, it's broken there. Just those issues with updating and such, and how it's more difficult than it needs to be. But we've sort of covered that. So I think that we've really worked hard and got it to quite a stable place overall.
Well, we're not stopping. I mean, I have still so many ideas where I need to like throttle myself. It's like, okay, no, let's focus on that for now, and then we try. C asks, we're getting more and more powerful little models. I think one of the most exciting ones is actually the one from Facebook, Meta. And I worked on that. So even on part of the onboarding, you can now pick is it Gemma? No, what's it called? I forgot the name.
You have Gemma on there.
Well, we have Gemma but use
the Gemma 4 we already had, but now I made the new model from Meta also an option. It did require some architectural
or
changes.
Something?
The distilled one, the 30 billion one, because that runs that can run maybe not on your smaller laptop, but on a lot of hardware, and it's also they also train on ClawBench, so it's quite capable.
Yeah.
One thing that's kind of like hot right now is like agentic development environments, and the control UI has kind of moved in that direction, and that's kind of how we're attempting to enable ourselves to build OpenClaw with OpenClaws by moving in that like agentic development environment. Like even personally, I don't like totally know what it means. Like, what's your take on like what is like the agentic development environment and what's kind of been shipped in that direction?
Well, I mean, the interesting stuff is there's so many fragmented products everywhere, right? You have the CLI agents, and then we had the local coding agents, but then also all this project to do like, oh, you can talk in Slack, and then it works, and then a PR appears. But neither of that covers the full story. I might work in Slack and I get an idea. I don't necessarily want the PR. I would love to have the session. So really the answer is like it needs to cover more of my work. So now you can have your agent in Slack, and then it starts a session that is then in the web UI in a sidebar, and then you can just like steer it or iterate on it, and then you don't have to restart. And then because I used to do that, right? It took like 20 minutes, and then like the PR appeared, and then I would like start over and work in my local environment. That's kind of silly. You already wanna keep working in the session that has all the state. The previous approach made sense 6 months ago, but doesn't make sense anymore. That's also why our tools need to evolve.
Yeah. We've got lots of questions coming at us. What are you working on at OpenAI? And was the work you're working on your idea? These questions you don't have to answer, of course, but
yeah, I cannot go into so many details. But I mean, we're also using claws at OpenAI, so I can tell you as much.
In your work at OpenAI, are you working to build OpenClaw or similar capabilities into Codex and ChatGPT? Another question, probably unanswerable.
Yeah, that's a little hard to answer.
You guys are working on cool stuff, I'm sure.
There's too much stuff.
In regards to how OpenClaw handles context, do you think the goal should ultimately be to remove /new and /reset commands?
Yeah, it's already demoted. That again, this is from that kind of makes sense 6 months ago. I can't remember when I last used /new. I mean, it's not even a thing in the apps anymore. I don't use the CLIs anymore. It is still there, but it might actually be time to rip it up properly. Maybe not for this release. Let me not add more things to change, otherwise we'll never ship.
Yes, no, that's a good point. As a heavy user of GPT, how many agents currently do you run 24/7, and how do you think how many ChatGPT accounts that people are going to need to do this kind of, to run their own stuff in the long term?
I mean, it always depends how hard you go. I only want to remind people. I think a few weeks ago we moved ClawSweeper, our review bot, from Sol to Terra, and I think there were like 1 or 2% of cases where Sol would have been better, but it reviews everything around 30 to 40% faster, which ultimately is a faster win for us because I feel we are constrained by CI and review time. It's also 80% cheaper. So I think like if you have workflows where you use the best tier model to like collect your random salts into places of work, and then you delegate that work to workers, and then actually I see a bunch of people that even use like Luna in max mode, which is like 99% cheaper. So if you're a little smarter on your use and not just go YOLO X high ultra on everything, you can get a lot out of a subscription now.
You feel like the pattern that I think a lot of folks on the team follow is that like orchestrator worker agent pattern where, like you said, it's like you have a single infinitely running chief of staff, whatever agent that you do all of your thinking with, and then you just delegate to, worker agents on like a Terra I or something.
I mean, it's also where OpenClaw shifting, right? We're moving more defaults back, so we just have one session where everything comes in. That was kind of my original idea, and it got destroyed by security, and then everyone was very isolated and felt like separated, split brainy, including the memory. And like now we're moving back into this concept, and now with the new architecture, it actually works. Previously, if your session had like 500 megabyte, you need very beefy hardware to not make it slow.
You mean the SQLite migration?
Yeah, that was key. That was key. That enables a lot of architectural changes to now benefit the experience.
Serverless stuff coming on the roadmap with that.
There is another question. Do you enjoy your job? Yeah. Do you feel the working with a restricted years? Maybe to a small degree, but I also get so many more ideas that I would see it's a bigger win. Everything is trade-offs.
Starting working in sessions because it already has all the state. What's your thought on context rot? It's cool that we have 1 million context window, but if only the first 20% is really usable for complex stuff, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, it's not so much the case anymore. Like, if you look at the difference that like 5.5 to 5.6 made on the long context scale, Anthropic made a lot of improvements. Even Kimi and other models got a lot better on long context use. There is some degradation, yeah, but it's not as bad as it was a few months ago, and I expect that to keep improving. Also, compaction got a lot better.
Do you run your claws on 1 million? Do you run your claws on 1 million context?
I actually used the 1 million OpenAI stuff, yeah.
Yeah. Huh.
Well, and I think for work, I would always suggest to have like this planning session and then worker sessions, because then the worker sessions, there's a lot of tool calling and trying that's not necessarily useful to like keep around, and then the orchestration session can like read back in the results and has like more dense information without it being overflowing, and you keep like the quality of the context higher.
Yeah.
Like the beauty is that OpenClaw can do that others cannot. You can have, if you want, you can use Fable as your planning session and have all the workers being GPT, or you can use GPT as your planning sessions and have like Kimi or Grok or whatever as your workers. So you can like, you basically have your own hybrid router if you want.
Yeah.
I think
But-
at least personally, I don't really pay attention to like the context window anymore, but rot in the sense of like to the point you made earlier, Peter, about like you should probably delete skills from 2 months ago. It's like if you have a skill that gets loaded that is like actively wrong, then it's like you have to like un like your agent's now just permanently confused, and it sucks. Or like I've had it where I have like my long running chief of staff agent that gets like poisoned with like poor context and just goes off the rails, and it's like, well, like it's kind of screwed now. I gotta restart the session because this thing's an idiot.
This makes me a little bit angry because it was like one of the things where like folks from Hermes always said, no, like our agent is self-learning, it's so much better. And then you look at the naive ways of what automatically created skills are, and it's just like creates like really silly skills that I would say are actively harmful. And then you have this impression of like, oh, it's learning, but no, it's actually like just like producing slop after slop.
And now it's in your memory, and your thing's permanently screwed because of one bad skill that got inserted a month ago or something.
Yeah.
There's this line between a memory that will fade versus a skill that is persistent. And, I want some self-learning in my environment, but I also, some things I don't want it to learn, it goes off. I don't want to have to say, I don't do this again. Right?
Oh, by the way, there's now an incognito session on web. If you really want something that does not learn and does not be saved, that only makes sense for web because I don't know how to pull it off on mobile. Does not make sense. But there is now an incognito session if you want read-only stuff.
Yeah. We've got another 13 minutes to go here. This has been our longest
Shouldn't there be
session.
Post-processing on memory? Oh, we have that. The dreaming is. I mean, if you look at the memory research kind of reflects what we did on OpenClaw. It's like very basic file-based sessions, and then we had like active memory that would inject it before, which is like kind of slow but also interesting. Then we added dreaming, but it wasn't on by default because it was very new. I think we took a little bit too long. We made that on by default now. Now your sessions are like processed or like blocks, and memories are extracted out of them. I think that counts as post-processing. The main memory file is also processed and like contained. Yeah.
Yeah. What's your token consumption like these days?
But the problem is now that I run so much more Terra, I feel like the number alone doesn't make sense anymore. Like I also have a whole bunch of automations that are Luna, because it is so freaking fast. Like Luna on fast mode, especially since OpenAI made fast mode like twice as fast after I complained. It wasn't more than me, but like yeah, I don't know. Now you can be a token billionaire and not spend much money on it, depending on the model. So I feel like the number kind of makes no sense anymore.
Yeah.
OpenClaw needs more memes. Yeah. Damn, make more memes. I'm down.
I think like my favorite like OpenClaw meme is like the multi songs that we have. Like that was for my talk yesterday. I had one of our songs like the walk on for it. I wish we had a way to show.
Oh yeah. There's what's the model called?
Suno. Yeah.
Suno. Yeah. Suno is a bit sketchy, but amazing output.
Do you use Ultra? What I mean to ask is if you use subagents or you delegate, or do you use subagents with Ultra or do you delegate tasks with an orchestrator?
I think Ultra for coding is not good. It's kind of good if you have like a lot of complex data. But these days, that's probably something that nobody found yet because you actually have to run main and you have to enable it. But we have a swarm feature now that I don't know, it works a little bit like Ultra code on Anthropic, where like the agent can just create agents programmatically and then create like 50 ones that collect data and then like synthesize this, and you see this little dots as it's working. So sometimes I use that when I do a lot of research, or like my agent decides to use that. Yeah, sub agents are kind of the norm now, I would say.
Is there a way to update the available models? And my config automatically, like model refresh command. For instance, I use z.ai and synthetic.new subscriptions as my model providers with OpenClaw, and they periodically update the models they have available. And I always seem to break my claw when I try to do it myself.
I mean, that's only on main, but we now have a model.json that's hosted publicly on GitHub, where if the model doesn't require any new plumbing, it will just automatically update. And there's also a way to disable that, because that's I feel like things like that need to be disableable, even though I don't like so many config options. But that's not a default, which should just make things easier. There's also now a pane, so you can update right from within the web UI. But
yeah,
we for doing that, we generalized a lot of the quirks, because every model provider had its own little thing that need to be done differently so it works. And now we have like a whole collection of them, because you can like kind of generalize what the different little problems are once you like support 50 providers. So I think we can actually cover quite a bit with the automatic updating, but that's still new, so not too untested. Yeah, / workflows. We have that in OpenClaw now too.
Is there anything
go ahead.
I was gonna say, just like anything we haven't talked about in like upcoming release or anything. I think we talked onboarding, skill workshop, control UI. Like we kind of
best practices for letting OpenClaw control your signed-in browser. Chrome extension versus Playwright versus DevTools protocol. Overall computer use.
That's also a story, right? We had a very early Chrome extension, and then Google did the whole MCP thing, and that was cool because finally you could. No, I think in the beginning it was isolated sessions. Then we had the browser thing. Then Chrome did the MCP. Then removed the browser thing because everybody was using the MCP. But the MCP is actually really annoying because it's this extra alert. So if you're like on the go, you would need to like VNC into it to press the alert. So we brought the browser extension back, updated. So it uses the same logic underneath, but now it kind of just, you install the browser extension and your agent can just take over the browser once it's paired. And you have to do that only once.
Yeah.
Is there hardware for the future of agents? Man, go on Amazon and buy those ESP32 things for $20. I unfortunately don't have one here, but we have a bunch of C code. You can have like a silly face on it. You can talk to it. Those are really fun to play.
Yeah. So no Raspberry Pis then, eh?
That already works. I feel like they are too powerful. They're boring already. You just like run the whole thing on it. Like I wanted something that like give me some restrictions, you know? Like for the ESP thing, it kind of wrote its own display driver. So I connected my webcam with some tape. So my agent could see the display and just iterate overnight until it was working.
Yeah. Here's a bit of a loaded question. Are you bitter over Anthropic for how they handled the OpenClaw boom? And do you feel like OpenAI is doing better with that? Honestly, I was a bit frustrated in February to June. I'm wondering, because there seems to be a lot of spite on X, and some things almost seem like OpenAI paid content, which, sorry for a loaded question. Appreciate all you guys do, and it's been a crazy year. Keep up the good work.
I don't think I did that lately. There was some spite, because giving me 1 day notice before taking away a subscription where I optimized everything for that model, it was very painful. Plus the whole other stuff with the renames. But I was in San Francisco. Man, I know 4 or 5 people on the Cloud Code Pin. They're all amazing people. They work really hard. I actually have a lot of respect for them now. So I don't think you find like a bitchy product tweet from me in the last month or two. They're direction wise, you know, if you if you show graveyard and mention AI in a public ad, I think that's not good for society. That's like fear mongering. So that I think the overall direction I don't disagree with, but I the people that work there are amazing. So I feel you need to like. It's such a big company, you can't just have one opinion about it anymore. There's some direction stuff I don't like. There's product and people that I have a lot of respect for.
Yeah. Well, I have one closing question, but Patrick, I'm going to give you the floor before I put Peter on the spot one last time. You have any?
Nothing. No, nothing on my end.
Nothing?
Yeah.
Okay, so here is the question of the biggest question. When are we going to get merch? I had to go and make my own t-shirt that says my other car is a lobster. Thank you, GPT-2. But when are we going to get merch? I want to start sending people shirts and hats.
This is like the never-ending thing that always gets dropped. I think if we don't get merch this year, we just say we failed and we should just like shut it all down.
I really want
merch before we do a release. Like, which one's going to be first?
I like my NVIDIA merch, yeah.
I really want
I fully agree. By the way, if anyone wants to play with unfinished random ESP experiments, we have like a open source node with display driver and audio. You can I don't know, just get the $20 thing and tell your agent to like, here, I bought something to play with you, and like adopt it. It's fun.
Oh, well, thank you very much for joining us. I know you've been super busy. And thank you, everybody, for joining us from the community. And I'll see you guys again next week, same time.
Pleasure talking. See you all.
Thank you.